Hello, this is Hunk Marvel, and I'm back with yet another installment of Annoyances. This is my third video talking about things that really get on my nerves, that most people don't seem to notice, they just accept it. I don't know if you agree with it or not, but here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is dead celebrities appearing in commercials. These corporations say, oh, our market research shows blah 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 blah. And so they'll do anything, no matter how damaging to society, but this is just yet another thing they do that pisses me off. They take dead celebrities and force them to endorse their products. They did this with Fred Astaire in a vacuum. Now, Bela Lugosi's son sued Universal Studios for using his father's likeness to market Dracula products. Lugosi Jr. argued that Universal Studios' right to use his father's image expired when he died. Well, this is Universal. They're part of WUS, Warner Brothers, Universal, and Sony. Anyway, in 1979, the California Supreme Court ultimately ruled against the Lugosi family, but the decision contained an important caveat. The celebrities' images could be passed down to their heirs as a common law trademark if they use them for commercial purposes during their lifetimes. So in other words, the corporations are allowed to use the images of dead celebrities to endorse their crappy products, and the family can't do anything about it, but they get money. They get a little money. Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney, Louis Armstrong for Diet Coke, John Wayne shilling for Coors. So Chris Farley's family can't do anything about DirecTV or anybody else using Chris's image to endorse their crappy products or services, but at least the Farley family will make money off of it, meaning they won't ever have to worry about living in a van down by the river. Another thing that annoys me is when movies, films, for some reason they think it's a great idea to come up with this look, this dreary, depressing look. I mean, this is the kind of weather that makes people jump off of buildings or shoot themselves and commit suicide. I mean, look at this. What's going on here? I mean, Superman is supposed to be flying in the sky with the blue sky and the fluffy clouds. Now it's raining? Whose idea was this? I understand with Batman, but come on. I mean, it's so dreary and depressing. You know, I remember when they were talking about Miami Vice, that show from the 80s, and the first few years got really big ratings, but then the ratings slipped. And there was an article talking about it, and the reasons behind it, and the reasons were, they changed their style, they changed the scenery. It went from bright and colorful and during the daytime to nighttime, darker colors, darker clothes, skinny black ties, and as a result, the rating slipped. The depressing looks in all these films are just a feeble attempt to look edgy and cool. I've already talked about how annoyed I am with Geico commercials, with their nonsensical humor, their non sequitur humor that has nothing to do with anything. But I really hate their slogan. It's what you do. This is another feeble attempt to sound cool. For some reason, this slogan really bothers me. What a meaningless statement. Oh, when you need car insurance, you go to Geico. It's what you do. Well, yeah, not if you want to save money. They have all these commercials. It's what you do. It's what you do. It's what you do. I just can't stand Geico commercials. They suck. And the slogan is really terrible. It's really annoying. And the amazing thing is that Geico isn't the only company using this lame slogan. Wisconsin Dells did it. As you know, Geico does it. And Subway did it too. What a meaningless statement. It's what you do. Here's another one. When stand-up comedians are doing their act, it's really annoying when the audience gives them applause. Listen, people, either laugh or don't laugh. I'm sick and tired of having to waste time listening to applause. Either laugh or don't laugh. If it's not funny, don't applaud, and they'll cut it out of their act and we'll be spared it. So I'm sick of, sitting through applause. Anyway, this is one of my favorite comedians, Brian Regan. He did the story about how he waited 9 months to do his science experiment, his science project. And then he wakes up the day it's due, and he ends up bringing to school for his project a styrofoam cup filled with dirt. And this is Pablo Francisco, another one of my favorite stand-up comedians, and he's well known for doing the movie trailer voice guy, doing his impression of that. Like, this summer in the city, you must fight to survive. I also like the late comedian George Carlin because I love his quote where he says, I live my life by certain rules. The first rule is, if the government tells me something, I don't believe it. I just flat out don't believe it. This is the late Mitch Hedberg, and in his acts he subtly complains about getting applause. But he was a genius, but he died of a drug overdose. And my favorite of all time is probably Bill Hicks. You should check out these comedians. Are really funny and informative, and they encourage you to think for yourself. No harm in that. Here's another thing that annoys me. The getting the closest answer without going over rule. This is really, really annoying. Because we don't want to have to do math. Well, who cares if they go over? It should be the closest estimate to the price wins. Why can't we work this out in this day and age? And it gives a huge advantage to contestants who come in later, who get to make their wager later, or their estimate. Look at this. 7501. I mean, this woman has no chance. What's going on here? Why do they allow this? Don't they have computerized systems to just award it to the person who's closest to the estimation? Now, this guy was a victim of this recently. Last summer, he was playing the reality game show Big Brother on CBS, and they were playing for the head of household competition, which would guarantee them that they would make it to the final three. Anyway, it came down to these two, and they had to get the closest estimate without going over. Well, John was actually way closer than Steve. Steve was way, way under. But because Steve didn't go over, he ends up winning HOH. And John went home, or went to jury next, got kicked off the show. But John was way, way closer and was victimized by this stupid rule. Could get close without going over. In this day and age, we still don't want to do math. We still can't figure this out. We're still living by this stupid rule. I don't know who made it up. I'm sick of it. Now, here's another thing that really gets on my nerves. The Lion Sleeps Tonight song. I've always hated this corny, stupid song, and it is used way too often in movies, television, and commercials. But I'm going to tell you something. It's the God's honest truth. When I was putting together this video, or the pictures for this video, I had my television on. So I was looking for a picture representing The Lion Sleeps Tonight. And then all of a sudden, a commercial comes on my TV using this very song. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was speechless. Here it is again, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Why do they think it's a good idea to use this song? They must think people love it. I don't understand it. Why do people like this piece of crap song? It's used everywhere. Here's an annoyance that's a little more trivial, but it's when people use the word happenings, as in, there were amazing happenings at the Democratic National Convention. Why do people use that word? Have they never heard of the word events? There were amazing events at the Democratic National Convention. So you could say something happened, or there was a happening. Why can't you do that with events? There were amazing eventsings. Happenings, eventsings at the Democratic National Convention. Amazing eventsings happened at the happenings of the eventsings of the Democratic National Convention. Here's another thing that's annoying. When I'm talking to this hot chick and I find out she has a boyfriend, that's really annoying. And here's one last annoyance. What is with all of the gay men on television now? Whenever I turn on my TV, I hear, my guest today is... Shut up. I'm tired of hearing their lispy, effeminate voices. I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm Andy Cohen. I mean, there's so many of them. What's going on here? If you look at my life before I went into television, the struggle I went through coming out would be surprising to most people, given how comfortable and how out I am being the only late-night gay talk show. This is why... Oh my God, I'm starting to talk like him now, with a lisp. This is why, so many young men don't know how to be men. I mean, there's just so many of them now. They're everywhere. I'm just so tired of hearing their effeminate voices. It just gets on my nerves for some reason. It's just not natural. Something wrong. We don't really have many examples of real men on television. I mean, look at this guy. Oh, welcome to my show. I mean, his voice is so unbelievably high and gay. You never heard. It's unbelievable. Conan O'Brien. Oh, welcome to my show. I'm Conan. I'm so pale and weak. I need to get my creams whenever I go out into the sun. What do kids have to look? What do young men have to look up to? Look at this guy, Graham Norton. He's another gay guy on television. What do kids have to look up to? This is just sad. On the talk shows, there's nothing. Now Mr. Spock is gay. Mr. Spock is gay now. And they make him out to love Captain Kirk. It's so annoying. And this guy, he hosts a late night show on CBS. James Corden. He sounds like he might as well be in the category. His voice is so effeminate. Welcome to my show. Let's lip sync in my car. I mean, come on. What kind of a man does this? They're setting an example that's just freaking horrible. This guy kisses ass so much, it's disgusting. The point is, there are so few good examples for straight men to look up to. Look at the guy who hosts the late night show, taking David Letterman's place. Yeah, here he is. Stephen Colbert. I mean, look at this guy. There's something wrong with this guy. What's going on here? I mean, he's nothing compared to David Letterman. I'm not a big fan of Letterman, but, he was funny. But this guy, I mean, come on. Pretends to be a conservative. It's just... What a pussy this guy is. I've barely watched his show at all. It's not, I mean, I just can't get into this shit. Anyway, these are just some of the things that annoy me. Hopefully, I can contribute to society by putting an end to, or helping to put an end to some of the silliness.